Seattle used to have a highway in the sky. A massive elevated viaduct ran along the city's waterfront, carrying traffic above the streets, above the shoreline, and beside the heart of downtown. But after decades of wear and damage from the 2001 Nisqually earthquake, that highway became too vulnerable to remain Seattle's long-term solution. So engineers made a radical decision. They would take State Route 99 and bury it beneath downtown Seattle. Seattle was not just replacing a road, it was changing where the road existed. To do it, crews launched a giant tunnel boring machine named Bertha, a machine WSDOT, described as the world's largest diameter tunnel boring machine when it began digging. Its mission was not just to dig a tunnel, it was to carve a highway-sized underground space beneath streets, buildings, utilities, and the city's waterfront. And inside that space, engineers would build something even more unusual, a deep-bored, double-deck highway tunnel. So how did engineers build a highway tunnel beneath downtown Seattle? This is the story of the SR 99 tunnel, and this is how Seattle moved a highway underground. For decades, the Alaskan Way Viaduct was one of Seattle's most visible pieces of infrastructure. It carried State Route 99 along the central waterfront, lifting highway traffic above the city streets below. From the road, drivers could see the city, the water, the port, and the skyline. But from the waterfront, the viaduct was a massive concrete structure standing between downtown Seattle and the shoreline. It was useful, it was important, but it was aging. Built in the mid-20th century, the viaduct had endured decades of traffic, weather, vibration, and structural wear. Then the 2001 Nisqually earthquake weakened it further. The viaduct was not something engineers wanted to depend on forever, and that created a difficult question. What do you do when a major urban highway is still needed, but the structure carrying it has become too vulnerable to remain the long-term solution? Seattle studied many possible answers. Rebuild the elevated highway, move traffic onto surface streets, use a different corridor, or remove the highway from the skyline completely. After years of study, the deep-bored tunnel was selected. Instead of keeping State Route 99 above the waterfront, engineers would move it below downtown. The old viaduct could remain open for much of the tunnel construction period. Then, after the new tunnel opened, the elevated highway could be removed. It was a bold idea, but the engineering challenge was enormous. Seattle was not building through empty ground. It was building beneath a living city. Above the tunnel route were streets, buildings, foundations, utilities, traffic, and the edge of one of America's most recognizable waterfronts. The ground had to be controlled, the alignment had to be precise, the surface had to be monitored, and the machine had to be large enough to create a single tunnel bore that could eventually hold a highway stacked on 2 levels. That machine was Bertha. Bertha was not just a digging machine. It was a moving underground factory built to carve a highway-sized tunnel beneath Seattle. At the front was a massive cutter head. Behind it was the shield that supported the ground around the excavation. Inside were systems to remove soil, control pressure, push the machine forward, and install concrete lining segments behind it. Farther back were conveyors, platforms, power systems, ventilation, and equipment that supported crews working underground. But before Bertha could begin, Seattle had to create the place where the machine would enter the earth. At the south end of the alignment, crews built the launch area. A massive pit had to be excavated. Concrete structures had to be prepared. Tunnel segments had to be staged. Cranes had to lower enormous machine parts into position. And urban construction logistics had to fit into a city already filled with streets, traffic, buildings, and infrastructure. A tunnel project like this does not begin with the cutter head turning. It begins with access. It begins with excavation. It begins with staging. It begins with creating enough space in the city for a machine large enough to build a highway underground. Piece by piece, Bertha was assembled. The cutter head, the shield, the backup gantries, the conveyors, the segment erector, the hydraulic systems, the platforms and utilities that would keep the underground operation alive. Then, in 2013, Bertha began digging. At the front of the machine, the cutter head rotated against the ground. Soil was excavated. Material moved through the machine. Hydraulic jacks pushed Bertha forward, and behind the shield, crews installed curved concrete segments. Those segments formed rings, ring after ring. Each ring became part of the permanent tunnel lining. This is the heart of modern bored tunneling. The machine does not simply dig an empty hole. It excavates at the front, and builds the tunnel lining behind it as it advances. The cutter head cuts. The soil is removed. The machine pushes forward. Concrete segments are placed. A ring is completed. The tunnel grows. Then the cycle repeats. Cut. Advance. Remove soil. Install segments. Check alignment. Repeat. Again and again. Beneath Seattle. Beneath streets. Beneath utilities. Beneath the edge of downtown. And what Bertha was building was not a normal tunnel. The SR-99 tunnel had to become a double-deck highway inside one giant bore. Instead of two side-by-side tunnel tubes, the highway would be stacked vertically. Southbound lanes would run on the upper deck. Northbound lanes would run below. That meant the tunnel had to be large enough not only for traffic, but for the internal structure, ventilation, drainage, lighting, fire life safety systems, communications, power, monitoring, and emergency equipment. The bore was only the outer shell. The highway still had to be built inside it. But before Seattle could reach that stage, the tunneling story became far more difficult. In late 2013, Bertha stopped underground. For a tunnel boring machine, stopping underground is very different from stopping on the surface. The machine is not sitting in a yard. It is not parked beside a road. It is surrounded by the tunnel it is trying to create. It cannot simply be driven away. It cannot be lifted out in one piece. And when a TBM stops deep inside a project, the entire job changes. Forward progress becomes investigation. Excavation becomes access. The machine that was supposed to keep moving becomes the center of a rescue operation. The stoppage involved machine damage, a major repair effort, and a dispute over responsibility. But from an engineering point of view, the challenge was clear. Crews had to reach Bertha. They had to repair the machine, and they had to do it inside one of the most complex urban tunnel projects in the United States. To reach the machine, crews needed access from above. The repair itself became a major construction project. A large access shaft had to be created. Heavy components had to be removed. Parts of the machine had to be lifted to the surface, serviced, repaired, and returned. Workers had to operate within the limits of a dense urban site, a deep underground machine, and a tunnel alignment beneath Seattle. This was one of the most dramatic phases of the project. The giant machine built to move forward was now stopped, and the only way to finish the tunnel was to bring Bertha back to life. The repair phase took time, but the story did not end with the machine underground. After the repair effort, Bertha resumed tunneling. The cutter head turned again. Soil moved through the machine. Hydraulic jacks pushed forward. Concrete lining rings continued to form behind it, and the underground route beneath Seattle began growing again. This is what large infrastructure often becomes. Not a straight path from design to completion, but a sequence of problems and responses, machines and repairs, risk and control, progress and patience. Bertha's stoppage became one of the most famous parts of the SR-99 tunnel story. But the larger engineering achievement is that the machine restarted, continued the drive, and eventually reached the end of the alignment. As Bertha moved north beneath downtown, the tunnel behind it became longer and longer. Concrete rings formed the permanent lining. Crews monitored alignment. They watched for ground movement. They managed the flow of excavated material. They supplied new concrete segments to the machine. And above them, Seattle continued to function. Traffic still moved through the city. Buildings remained above the route. Utilities stayed in service. And for much of construction, the old viaduct continued carrying vehicles along the waterfront. Deep below, Bertha carved the new route for State Route 99. Then, in April 2017, the breakthrough moment arrived. Bertha reached the receiving pit near Seattle's Space Needle. The cutter head broke through the final wall. The tunnel drive beneath downtown Seattle was complete. For the first time, the underground route beneath the city was physically connected from end to end. It was a massive milestone, but it was not yet a highway. Breakthrough completed the tunnel drive. It did not complete the transportation system. A raw bored tunnel is only the beginning. Before drivers could use the SR-99 tunnel, crews had to transform the circular concrete tube into a working double-deck highway. They had to build the internal roadway structure. They had to create the upper and lower decks. They had to complete portal connections and ramps. They had to install lighting, drainage, ventilation, power, communications, traffic control, monitoring, and fire life safety systems. They had to test the tunnel as an operating environment. Inside the tunnel, the next phase was almost like building a second structure inside the first. The bore created the outer shell. The concrete lining formed the circular wall, but the highway had to be constructed inside that space. The lower roadway, the upper roadway, the barriers, the ventilation paths, the mechanical and electrical systems, the control equipment, the emergency systems. The tunnel became more than concrete. It became a machine of its own. A machine that would move vehicles, air, water, power, information, and emergency response through an underground highway beneath downtown. That is what made the SR 99 tunnel different from simply digging under Seattle. The tunnel had to operate. Vehicles would produce heat and exhaust. Water had to be collected and removed. Air had to move. Lights had to stay on. Cameras and sensors had to monitor conditions. Traffic had to be managed. And the entire structure had to work as one system. When the tunnel opened to drivers in February 2019, State Route 99 had a new path through Seattle. The highway no longer ran above the waterfront on the Alaskan Way Viaduct. It moved underground. Traffic entered through portals, traveled through the double-deck tunnel, and emerged on the other side of downtown. Then the visible transformation above began. The old viaduct closed to vehicles in January 2019. After the tunnel opened, demolition of the elevated structure followed. Piece by piece, the concrete highway that had dominated Seattle's waterfront for decades was removed. The tunnel did not simply replace a road. It made the removal of the old viaduct possible. And with the viaduct gone, Seattle could rebuild the surface above it. New streets, new public spaces. A waterfront no longer defined by an elevated highway overhead. From the surface, most people see the result as a changed city. The viaduct is gone, the waterfront is open, the highway has disappeared from the skyline. But beneath downtown is the hidden engineering that made that transformation possible. A giant bored tunnel, a double-deck highway, concrete lining rings, ventilation systems, lighting, fire life safety equipment, traffic systems, portals, control rooms, and a route carved by one of the most famous tunnel boring machines in modern American infrastructure. The SR 99 tunnel was never just a tunnel. It was a way to remove an aging elevated highway from Seattle's waterfront while preserving a major route through the city. It was a machine beneath the streets, a highway inside a tunnel, and a city rebuilding the surface above it. Seattle used to have a highway in the sky. Today, that highway runs beneath downtown. This is where urban engineering meets underground construction, where a waterfront viaduct became an underground route, where Bertha carved a path below the city, and where a highway once ran above Seattle, but now runs beneath it.